Hey guys, welcome to the last lesson of the book. This is 824, and there's going to be a part 1 and a part 2. So we're going to start with part 1 today. We are looking at three-dimensional figures. And the first thing we're going to do is just remember what the names of all these things are. So I'm sure you remember this one. If we've got squares going all the way around it, that's a cube. And if you've got a ball, that's a sphere. Now, what about when we have prisms and pyramids? Okay, remember that a prism has two polygons for bases that are connected by flat rectangles. Okay, all you have to do is take the name of the base, triangle for this one, make it triangular, and then call it a prism. So that's a triangular prism. Now, sometimes kids get that mixed up with number 4 because they see the triangle faces, but that's not a prism because what you need is the same shape on top and bottom. So this base is a square, but it's not a square on top like a cube. That would be a cube is a square prism. This has a square on bottom, but it has a point on top. So it's a pyramid. It's a square pyramid. What about if you have a circle on top and bottom? Is that a circular prism? Not exactly, because it doesn't have a polygon for bases. Circles aren't polygons because they have curves. But we have another name for this shape. It's a cylinder. And finally, we've got a circle base that comes to a point on top, almost like a circular pyramid, but that's not what we call it. We call it a cone. All right, now what about faces, edges, and vertices? Do you remember how these work? Faces are the flat sides of a 3D shape. So if I look at a rectangular prism or a cube like this, and I'm counting how many faces there are, I have to look at the top, the bottom, left, right, front, and back, and I get 6 faces. What about edges? Edges are wherever the faces come together, wherever they meet. So there's an edge, 3, 4, 5 coming down, 6, 7, 8 in the back, and on the bottom there's 9, 10, 11, 12. We've got 12 edges there. Finally, vertices are the corners. So how many corners are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 vertices. Okay, so you think you can do that for number 8 and 9? Try it out. How many faces do you see for this triangular pyramid? Did you get 5? Triangle, triangle, and then the 3 rectangles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How about edges? Count all the edges going around, going back. 9 edges. And vertices, a little bit easier to see than edges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, how about this square pyramid? Can you do that? How many faces do you see? We got the bottom, the base, and then 4 that go around the side. That's 5 faces. How many edges do you see? 8 edges. And vertices, just counting the corners. 1, 2, 3, 4, with 1 on the top for 5. Okay, but it gets to be a little bit obnoxious to be counting all of those edges and vertices and everything all the time. So what we're going to do is find some patterns that are really going to help us out. So when we've got a triangular prism, we know that triangles have 3 sides. Okay, so our base has 3 sides. That's what this shows down here. There are 5 faces in the triangular prism, 9 edges, and 6 vertices. Now, how does that compare with the rectangular prism? Well, we already did that. It's got 4 sides of the base, 6 faces, 12 edges, and 8 vertices. What about a pentagonal? Pentagon, remember that means 5 sides. It's got 5 sides of the base, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 faces, the 2 bases plus 5 that go around, 15 edges, and 10 vertices. And hexagonal, if you count all those up, you get 6 sides of the base, hexagon, 8 faces, 18 edges, and 12 vertices. That's this one right here. Now a decagon has 10 sides, okay? So a decagonal prism is going to have a lot of these. In fact, this is kind of a challenge question, number 13. It says you finish the table by yourself. So you could pause the video and see if you could get this before I reveal it. but here you go. 10 sides of the base, 12 faces, 30 edges, and 20 vertices. And what we want to do is find the pattern so that we don't always have to count this. I don't want to count 30 edges for a decagonal prism, but I don't have to. Look at number 11. It says, what rule could you use to find the number of faces? Well, notice that the number of sides, compare that to the number of faces that each figure has. 3 sides, 5 faces. A rectangular prism had 4 sides of the base, 4 for the rectangle, 6 faces. What's happening every time? Every time it's adding 2 to the number of base sides. So the number of faces is just the number of base sides plus 2. Okay, so what's the pattern for the number of edges? If we start with how many sides it has on its base, what do you notice to get to the number of edges? From 3 to 9, 4 to 12, 5 to 15, 6 to 18, 10 to 30, every time it's just multiplying by 3, okay? Number of edges is the number of base sides times 3. And the last one is for vertices. How do you go from 3 to 6, 4 to 8, 5 to 10, etc.? All you have to do is look at how many base sides there are and double it. And that'll tell you exactly how many vertices there are, okay? We already did number 14. Sorry, I think I said it was 13, but number 14, to complete the last row, we did that. We're gonna stop there and we'll pick up with part 2 tomorrow.